I told you we'd be back to Bernini by the end of the week. Here we are. This is Bernini's Baldacchino, and this structure is under the dome in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. Now, the structure we're looking at is this specific piece here. All right. Now, don't even get me started on Bernini's other work inside of St. Peter's. The dude has some amazing stuff in this, including this thing back here. We can't get into it. We just don't have enough time. If you want to know more about Bernini, email me. I just realized yesterday, in between filming, that I have another book about Bernini, like right there. I love this guy. He's just great. I have one more. Hold on. This one here. This one here. The Genius in Design, Bernini Borromini, The Rivalry That Transformed Rome. It's pretty good. A little dry, but pretty good. Okay, enough with the book talk. So, what we're looking at here is this structure. It's made of bronze, and it stands at 100 feet tall. Yeah, it's 100 feet tall, and it fits nicely underneath the dome in St. Peter's. That is the scale of St. Peter's. Now, this also reminds me to introduce you to a vocabulary term. What's a baldacchino? Baldacchino is the Italian for baldachin. Ugh, Miss Cortez, that's not very helpful. Okay. How about we'll define both of them? A baldachin and a baldacchino are a cloth canopy fixed or carried over an important person, altar, or relic. So this four-posted structure here is a baldachin, or in Italian, a baldacchino. Now, these types of structures are very common in worship, not just the Roman Catholic Church, but outside and in various faiths. These types of structures, like this is a Renaissance painting of a baldacchino. These types of structures can be temporary. These types of structures can be portable. That's what we're seeing here. There is a sacred relic, and it is being paraded through Venice. And these men here are holding up the posts to carry over the fabric to protect the relic during this procession. These types of processions still happen today. Here we are looking at two different baldacchinos in two different processions over these sacred relics. Now, the idea of a baldacchino is quite lovely. Baldacchino, you might think protection against what? What are you talking about? These baldacchinos come from the idea that these sacred relics house a power within them, and these baldacchinos identify where this powerful object is within the procession, within the parade. So imagine you're in these congested streets waiting and watching for the baldacchino, because what you will see underneath it is that sacred relic. And if you can make your prayers known to that sacred relic, maybe it can serve as a conduit and help bring your prayers up to heaven. If you're too crowded and there's too many heads in the way and you can't see the relic, but you can see the baldacchino, it serves as an apparatus or an extension of the relic. So these structures, they are there to identify, to protect, and to harness the power of the relic. I say relic. Relics are sacred objects that are either body parts or personal objects of sacred figures. Baldacchinos are also used over things like thrones, over monarchs, kings, queens. So that's why it says they're persons, altars, or relics. So what we're looking at here is over a relic. Here is over a relic. In Bernini's, let me go up here. It is over an altar and a relic. It'll make more sense when I zoom out. Let me just go to it now. We'll come back. We'll look at these. Don't worry. Okay, yeah, here. So the baldacchino, obviously, this is not a temporary or portable one. It's made of bronze. It's 100 feet tall, but it does stand over and mark the altar over St. Peter's tomb. So there's a staircase here that leads to the catacombs under St. Peter's, and the believed tomb of St. Peter is directly below the baldacchino. So it does serve as a protector for the altar and the relic beneath the altar. Does that make sense? Okay, let me scroll back up. Now the genius of Bernini, because you know he's a genius. Typically, baldacchinos are made out of cloth, right? The canopy is made out of fabric. Here we see these angels who have alighted the tops of the columns, and we have this fantastic framework. These angels here are holding the Pope's very distinctive crown or headpiece. And here is the canopy. We see tassels, we see emblems. What has Bernini done to make this even more awesome? Well, let me zoom in on it. What is happening with these tassels? It's like they're floating in the wind, or they've been caught and they're tousled by a breeze. You know that can't happen. It's bronze. But Bernini, being the genius that he is, he sculpts this bronze in a manner to make it look like those tassels are on a cloth canopy and they're being caught by the wind. Here's another view. Let me zoom in over here. There you go. Those are those two angels with the Pope's very distinctive crown. Oh man, it's just fantastic. The bronze that was used to create this, not so fantastic. Basically, it was made from spolia, spoils. Spoils of what? Spoils of ancient Rome. For any of you who have taken the Art 2A class, you're familiar with the Pantheon, that structure I showed you, that temple dedicated to all the gods. Remember when I told you in Art 2A that the inside of the dome of the Pantheon had those bronze rosettes that were painted gold and were meant to look like the stars? Do you remember that? Look in your notes. Do you remember that? The coffers and those golden rosettes made of bronze? I know, I can see your reaction right now. Yes, the bronze rosettes were taken off of the coffers inside of the dome of the Pantheon, melted down to make this. Oh, what you might be thinking, Discord. I know one of you right now. I'm thinking of one person in particular who is in this class, and I know she's upset. You're probably thinking, why? This isn't fair. Ah. It was seen as a triumph over the pagan religion. To take from the pagan past the worship of gods and goddesses to serve the Christian God was seen as a righteous thing to do. One of the distinctive features of the baldacchino are these fantastic twisted columns. You see these here? Each column was cast in 5 sections, and the elements are assembled and then soldered together. They were inspired by the descriptions of the original baldacchino that was over the original altar at the old St. Peter's Basilica. So Bernini is carrying that tradition through. It's just huge. It's just massive. This is an image from an Easter celebration maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It's crazy big, and it just sits so nicely underneath this. I'm going to stop here. Our last artwork is by Bernini, and it's outside of the church. See you in a bit.